Good afternoon. I am Mokurai, monk of Silent Thunder Temple, and Tai Chi instructor here at Stone Age Climbing Gym. This will be our third class online, and I'd like to go through the form today all the way through. The first segment that we did on the first week, added on to the second segment that we did on the second week, and we'll do them non-stop in silence. For those of you that want to follow along. And after that, we will do some Dharma talk and some Qigong. So follow along if you would, or you can just watch. It's been noted that Tai Chi masters on occasion will go and perform the Tai Chi in a hospital room with sick patients. And sometimes just watching the motions helps the healing process. It sinks in at a very deep level. Here we go. Tai Chi form. First and second segments. That is the first 40 moves or so of this form. 108 motions total. As I have previously mentioned, it is the Yang style modified with elements of both Aikido and Jiu-Jitsu. Now I would like to speak a little bit about a Taoist theme. Remember, Tai Chi is based on Taoism, the blending of yin and yang, and the resolution of conflict, both inner and outer. So here's a short Dharma talk in the form of a poem, which will bring out some very profound and mystical Taoist themes. As you perhaps know, Tao, T-A-O, is a Chinese word. It's difficult to translate. Most often it is translated as the way, less often translated as the source, and more infrequently, but more mystically, translated as God. T-A-O, Tao. This poem is called At the Circus. There will be a great deal of symbolism. Perhaps you can intuitively figure out the symbolism involved as the poem unfolds. At the circus. Said the rhinoceri 3 to the blind juggler, we so lament, seeing such a struggler. Look, even your juggling clubs are on fire. We will gladly stomp them out. We are for hire. Retorted the sightless circus act. The circus owner and I have made a new pact. So stomp away, for with the juggling clubs I am through. For tomorrow I'll be paid to juggle the three of you. A blind juggler? What is that about? And then on top of that, juggling 3 rhinoceri. What is that about? In order to be a juggler that can perform his act blind, we have to understand that the ancient Taoist alchemists considered the 5 senses, to be the 5 thieves. So what we see is something that robs us of our spiritual understanding. So for someone to be a blind juggler, it implies that they have gone beyond the 5 senses and are relying on their spiritual intuition to guide them through life and deal with problems as they arise. It's known that rhinoceri like to stomp out fires. The rhinoceroses in this poem refer to those that mock spiritual people. It's inevitable. The Tao Te Ching says that when a superior man hears of the Tao, he abandons everything and spends the rest of his days pursuing greater knowledge of this Tao. When the average man hears of the Tao, he drops everything. He's filled with excitement. He drops everything and pursues greater knowledge of the Tao for a very short time, and then he loses interest and goes back to his worldly pursuits. When the inferior man hears of the Tao, he laughs out loud. If the inferior man did not laugh out loud at the notion of this great Tao, then it would not be the Tao. So it's inevitable that inferior minds are going to mock those of spiritual inclination. Who is the owner of the circus? The circus owner, of course, is God. And the idea of making a new pact with the circus owner refers to graduating to a higher level of consciousness, and thereby having the power, the personal power, to dispel greater illusion. Sometimes it's difficult to handle the truth. And as we gain in personal power, we have the power to unmask greater deceptions. So this blind juggler has made a new pact with God, with the circus owner, with the Tao, has increased his level of personal consciousness, arriving at a more superconscious state. And then what happens? He makes food, he makes sport, he makes fun of those that mock him. They become his food, they become his fodder for new spiritual exercise. As we increase our own spiritual intuition and power, we should, and in fact, inevitably, challenge ourselves with dispelling more and more deeply ensconced illusions and deceptions. It's said that when the man of Tao goes walking, and he might encounter a ferocious tiger, but the tiger's claws find no place to tear. When the man of Tao goes walking, he might encounter a rampaging rhinoceros, but the horn of the rhinoceros finds no place to gore. When the man of Tao goes walking, he might encounter a threatening soldier, but the soldier's spear has no place to pierce. Why? Because there is no place for death to enter. So this brings up the notion that someone who has gone beyond the five senses and is relying on their spiritual understanding, their spiritual attainment, there is a shield of protection around them. And they rely on this more than they rely on weapons, spears, knives, guns, bombs, fists. They rely on this shield of spiritual energy that not only protects their body, but protects their whole being. So there's a certain blessedness that surrounds a person that has become one with the Tao, which is the ultimate goal of Tai Chi. Remember, Tai Chi is a moving meditation and qualified to inherit all of the stupendous benefits of the successful meditator. But for now, let's continue with a Qigong exercise. Remember, Tai Chi is a form of Qigong. Tai Chi utilizes martial art techniques to cultivate spiritual energy, spiritual power. Qigong does not use martial art techniques other than when we increase our level of consciousness, that in and of itself becomes a self-defense mechanism. So here we go. Qigong, it'll be, if not the same as last week, very similar for continuity's sake. And the idea is to keep the hands very gentle and focus the mind inch by inch of the movements and second by second of the time elapsed on the present moment. So the movements themselves gives the mind something a little bit more tangible than merely following the breath. You can follow the movements and it's a little bit more engaging and grabs the attention a little bit more, thus rendering meditation a little bit easier. So the hands begin like this. The hands are very gentle. As we inhale, we will always inhale by expanding the lower stomach first, then the upper chest as well. So the hands are gentle, and as we inhale, lower stomach expands, then the upper chest. We have stimulation of the right brain. Inhale. Hold breath. Inhale more. The lungs are filled. Hold breath. Form a ball of energy, a chi ball. Exhale and breathe out. Inhale. Rotate the chi ball. Hold breath. Exhale. Other hand, same way. Inhale. Inhale. Hold breath. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Both hands together. Inhale. 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 Exhale. Inhale. Hold breath. Exhale. Bone marrow washing. And that's the sequence. I'll do it 2 more times if you care to follow along. I will do it in silence, with deeper concentration. That concludes today's class. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it beneficial. As always, if you would like further detail, please ask a question in the comment section. If you would like to see some elements that were in previous classes that were not here today, please let me know. I will be glad to comply. Namaste.